Um, so want to welcome everybody to another PIM Smart Cafe. I think I know you all, but I'm Steve Bonoff with Printing Industry Midwest. And we have an opportunity here to welcome Tim Pruden and the team from Konica. Now, Konica Minolta has been a partner of PIM for quite some time, and they've been a terrific sponsor of Smart Cafes now for going on 2 years. And I think it's about time we allow them to come to the table and actually share one of their unique value propositions, which is really helping companies not only just implement new technologies to make them more effective from a service perspective, but it really diving into companies' workflows and making sure that they're actually taking costs out of the process while they're adding new capabilities. And it's not lost on anyone today that we either have to grow and replace lost revenue, or we have to take costs out of the supply chain, and preferably both. So we're working at PIM of developing ways that companies can grow their business, especially with the launch of our new PIM Marketing Services program, which has really been taking off. And I think we've done 9 conversations or scheduled conversations over the next few days with companies about how to grow their business by really more effectively telling their story. But today we're going to be concentrating on that technical side and really helping companies how to remove some of the costs and some of the barriers to effective job production. Tim Pruden is an expert out in the field. I'm going to let Tim kind of introduce himself and the process that we're going to be going through today. A reminder that everyone that to obviously leave your system on mute, but you're welcome to unmute. We want to make this a dialogue, so you're welcome to chat in questions or open up and raise your hand, or simply chat in and say, hey, Tim, I got a question. So we want to make this a discussion. But Tim, welcome. Thank you for your time and effort. And I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say today.
I appreciate the time and the audience. I'm joined by one of my colleagues, James Trowbridge, who is an analyst. So any questions, any conversation, Jim is on behalf of Konica Minolta and this process. So we work hand in hand in developing solutions for our clients. You know, I want to thank everyone for taking some time to join in on this. I think this is more important today than ever before. In the wake of COVID-19, in the wake of, you know, a down economy. I mean, we started the year off with, you know, stocks in record territory, economy, record low unemployment. Things had looked very promising for the year. COVID-19 comes in and shuts everything down. You know, and now in the wake of what that has left us with is a lot of our clients in a position to reevaluate how work moves through a commercial print shop. How do they maximize the processes they already have in place, or the revenue that they've already invested in their shop? Konica Minolta has taken a very hard stance on when we engage a customer, we want to seek to understand. And I'll take you through a little bit about what we do, how we go through an assessment, and keep it high level, because there's no one way to do this. And Jim can attest, being my analyst in the field. Commercial print is a pretty universal topic. Everybody is putting ink or toner on paper, but for as many shops that we have out there, there's a different way to do it. So through this process, it's about setting a baseline of your vendors should be working with you to help assess, help guide you through the technology you may have, the solutions that are available, the investments you've already made, and help tie all that stuff together in order to maximize your productivity and deliver something competitive to your clients. Jim, is there, so myself, 30 years in the industry, I come from a background of printing. Our family industry was printing drafting aids through the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Plotters came out, decimated that niche market. So I learned a hard lesson very early on that if you don't adapt, if you don't watch the market and change with the market, you'll take a multi-state organization and decimate it overnight. So coming to Konica Minolta in 1999, after a short stint in the Marine Corps, print's been in my blood, so it's where you know, it made sense for me to begin my career. You know, I do take this industry to heart. I'm very passionate about print and what it is we all do. You know, Jim, I'll give you an opportunity to introduce yourself and your experience in the industry.
Thanks, Tim. I've worked at Konica for a little bit over a year, but I've spent my whole career in print manufacturing, both as an operator and as a production manager and director of manufacturing for some printing companies here in town. I, like Tim, also, I'm very passionate about the printing industry and automation and workflow. That's the big way that companies can take steps out, take error touch points out, and just continually use technology and develop the technology to help printers get better every day. And Tim and I work very closely together, trying to find very cost-effective and efficient solutions for all the commercial printers out in the marketplace today.
Thank you. And one thing I want to throw in on my background, I spent 15 years on the technical side of the house. So while I'm in a support role in the sales department, I spent the majority of my career in a print shop break fix, living the trials and tribulations of, you know, our clients. So I think that's where a lot of my passion has come from in order to develop and come up with a program. So I'm going to launch a little PowerPoint and kind of walk you through what it is we do, how we do it, kind of keep it high level. Towards the end, I'm going to take you through some of the solutions that are coming to market and kind of how they're affecting and changing what's been done in the past. So let's kick it off. Gotta hit share screen. All right, I think you guys should be able to see my screen now. Is that up for everybody?
Looks good.
Thank you. Okay, we've gone through introductions and a slight overview. You know, workflow automation, that's directly tied to assessment. You know, we want to kind of just high level hit what that is and not give any misleading information on there's no one solution that fits all. Assessment interviews, why it's crucial. We'll go through some of the cost-cutting measures that we've uncovered and how we've actually helped people and organizations. Up-to-date technologies, what we've brought to market, and kind of just highlight I can speak for Konica Minolta. That's where I've lived the majority of my career. So I want to use some real-world examples of what's available to commercial printers today. And then, you know, questions, please, if you have any questions through this, please chime in at any time. I want to keep this a dialogue rather than a dissertation. So without further ado, we'll jump into it. So there's some information. If you have any questions afterwards, please feel free to reach out to any one of us. We're at your disposal. So I wanted to pull these market trends up because if you notice on here, this was February of 2019. This is where the industry was headed. Unfortunately, Steve, maybe you can chime in on this. Have you seen any updated market trends since COVID has taken hold in our society?
Well, I certainly have seen trends related to commercial print. As of about 3 weeks ago, we saw on average a 57% decline for commercial print sales.
Okay.
Now, that was really dependent upon market served. If you're primarily a packaging company, you're down on average 15%. And then the range is dependent upon markets within those numbers. But that's about what we've been hearing. And then we have heard a little bit of an uptick in the last few weeks. Again, dependent upon market served, but certainly not anywhere near where they were a year ago.
Sure. And that's exactly and precisely what I wanted to highlight. So, you know, when we're business planning and we're helping our clients plan for the future, we can only extrapolate data from the past and take a look at projections going forward. So here's a perfect example of an unknown, unforeseen event changing our industry. The days of, you know, high revenues like this will come back. I truly believe it, but I think it's going to take time. The number of businesses, I think the revenue is going to come back. I think the number of businesses is going to drop. How substantial that number is, it's yet to be seen. I mean, just from our standpoint and our current customers, we're seeing a lot of mergers happening, a lot of retraction, but we're starting to see the volumes tick back up to where they were. The growth, that's subject to what the market's going to need. So we'll kind of hit a little bit about on the next slide where that growth is going to come from and what we've discovered and what we've studied. Industry employment, that's a number that's going to change. And this is going to directly tie into workflow assessments and streamlining the process. If some of you are aware that a lot of people were furloughed, that lower skilled operator that was loading paper or running a low skill device, call it a GBC offline punch. We'll use that for an example. They may have been furloughed. And while on furlough, they were given an unemployment rate along with that government bonus of $600 a week. When industries or when our clients had work come back and they asked them to return to work, some people did refuse to come back. I don't know what that did for their benefits, but it's a real scenario where we're seeing commercial printers have a hard time bringing talent back onto the floor. So that's where automation is going to come into play. So the industry employment number, you know, I would suspect that's probably going to continue to retract for a while. And again, these are 2019 numbers. So you can see that direct mail, brochures, pamphlets, that side of it had been a very large component of what's been done. What we're seeing in the market is those numbers are starting to substantially drop, especially the brochures, the pamphlets. Posters, on the other hand, are climbing. Business cards are retracting. So everyone's talked about going to a paperless society. Well, COVID-19 has given them an excuse to explore that and pursue that. Now, where this has kind of opened up new areas of print, the posters, the placards, everywhere you go, you see some sort of print pertaining to COVID rules. Direct mail is skyrocketing right now. But if you look over onto the far right side, you know, your book printing, your financial, legal, packaging, those have always been a lower part of the business. Those are starting to climb and climb exponentially. The direct mail, what we're seeing there is embellishment is taking hold. With more people at home, the direct mail, we're seeing a tremendous amount of increase there. And where people are differentiating, where companies are differentiating their message from the onslaught of pieces in the mailbox is with embellishment. Embellishment, typically we'll see a 30 to 300% markup in that work. And those are real numbers. As you know, Konica Minolta is a controlling shareholder of MGI Solutions. So that's something we've been tracking and tracing very intimately because of what it does for our book of business. But these, again, all ties into the change of the market and where we need to start streamlining and how we need to start looking to alleviate touch points and address manufacturing challenges. And we're printers, we manufacture print. So what is an assessment? That's something that, and Jim chime in on this, it's not easily defined. An assessment is a process that your vendor should be seeking to understand the leadership's defined initiatives and challenges. I believe that any good sales engagement from a vendor standpoint is first defining what the initiatives and challenges of the business from the top down. With that starts to guide it and steer the process that we as a vendor start gathering information and developing a story on how we can help. The most important part of this is the workflow walkthrough. And Jim, chime in with this one on, because that's your bread and butter on the workflow. What are you looking for when you start this engagement?
Yeah, I always like to talk to people in pre-press and start at the beginning and look at touch points and anything that can be automated through simple pit stop scripts or by implementing new software that can, automate imposition. There's just so many tools out there that you can use to build a workflow. Some of them are extremely complex, and the discovery phase of just how files come into a company and exit out the back door as deliverables, it can take days. Other ones are pretty straightforward, but there's still a lot of touch points in there. As we all do more and more variable data, and we have to deal with constraints of security with HIPAA and other, security and information concerns, they create a lot of challenges. And there are lots of solutions out there. It's just, you got to spend a lot of time just digging in and asking the right questions, really understanding all the different products and how they go through, because printing is custom manufacturing. And Tim has said several times on this call that, no two shops are alike. Yes, we all print, but the workflow and the products that you produce are vastly different. And just taking the time to talk to ownership about what their goals are today and going forward, and making sure that solutions are tailored for their current needs and to support that growth into either verticals or just increase in volume from what they currently are doing.
Thank you. As we go through this process, it's not always a rip and replace mentality. We're engaged in these assessments weekly throughout the region, daily. And a lot of hesitation in engaging your vendors on this process is the fear that we're coming in there to sell you something. Not always. And of course, we're in a sales-driven organization, just like you are. But our goal is to help secure the business, help better the business. We're going to earn trust, we're going to build relationships, and we're going to show our value by being honest and thought, just providing thought and insight into what you have and how it's being done today. We're fortunate enough to spend time in shops anywhere from retail, mom and pop storefronts to the largest printer in the world. So we see a whole slew of solutions and problems in play. The workflow walkthrough that is critical because we're going to start to see redundancy, things that may be overlooked or missed because you have a offset workflow and then you have a digital workflow. You may have a issue where you're allocating resources for two separate workflows that in today's day and age are and should be unified. The days of shooting plates and developing plates are over. Everything is done digitally now. So the beautiful thing about what is already in place typically can be implemented across both platforms. In data collection, the time studies, how long does it take to get from point A to point B? Why is there a hesitation on getting this to the floor? Where's the bottlenecks in conversion, approvals? And this isn't something where, your vendors are looking to, sell you an MIS system tied to JDF workflow, because God knows we've all tried it and found out that it takes a significant investment in time and capital to implement that. Now, can your vendors help you with the foundation to moving towards that? Absolutely. But right now, in the wake of COVID-19, we really want to help our clients find efficiencies, get work from point A to point B a little faster, sometimes tremendously faster. We worked with a shop in the Twin Cities, and when we went through this process, we found 64 touch points to get a digital job from conception to delivery. 64 people had to do something with that job ticket from start to finish. When we implemented a digital solution and streamlined it, we brought it down to 12. It was about a 7-day process. We turned it around in a 2-day process just because of approvals. It can be same day. But the data collection, again, starting from the top with the leadership, what are their initiatives? What do they have in place? What do they foresee the future of their business evolving into? And then where we found value is having an analyst go through the shop, interview each stage independently. You're going to get a very different response when they have a manager or a department head standing there along with the questions. So it's going to be very political. It's going to be very protected. And Jim, add to this, please. What have you seen when we're kind of guided through what areas they want us to investigate and how we're able to gather truthful information and insightful information?
Yeah, talking to the operators is the key, because they're the ones that know their job the best. And you can always start off with a plant manager and spend time with people explaining workflow and the type of products that they do. But really, a good assessment, in my opinion, the ones that I feel the best about are when you get to talk to guys out in bindery and understand the challenges that these jobs are never laid upright. The lip is on the wrong side, or, I got two forms and they're, imposed differently. And it just takes, now I got to set up an extra program. And there's just so many nuances that you can push up front and make those smart decisions that help everything flow through the shop better. Ultimately, the goal is, saving labor so you can allocate labor to more value added tasks. And just the more people that I get to interface with, the more information and solid, good, insightful information we can gather to, fully assess the company and the workflow.
Absolutely. And then what we end up typically doing is a collaboration. So we're going to compile information. We're going to start investigating solutions that are already in place. Obviously, if you have it today, let's leverage that. You've invested in it. By gosh, let's use it. And then what's available on the market today to make things move a little smoother. You might already have some aged equipment that cost of operation has gone through the roof, or labor is very taxing and expensive. Today's technology is putting those labor components in line. Again, it's not to replace headcount, it's to start allocating that headcount towards more profitable endeavors, those projects that you want to take on, but you just don't have the manpower. Well, if we can leverage technology to do those menial tasks and do them efficiently and accurately without that human error component, you're going to start seeing tremendous efficiencies. Errorless work coming through the shop and getting out the door in a timely fashion. That dreaded call of you delivered the job and something was wrong. We want to help eliminate that. And then reallocate those resources to those more complicated, more value-added tasks. And then from there, we typically will come back with recommendations based on the initiatives, the challenges, the discussions we had through the process, and deliver a comprehensive proof of concept. Now, and I can, again, speaking for Konica Minolta, we've invested in resources in each local branch. The importance of having a subject matter expert follow the process in a pre-sales engagement through discovery, through proof of concept, and then on implementation is critical. I don't know how many people have experienced well, they said it would do this, or I thought it could do this scenario. I think as vendors, we've all been caught in that trap at some point, but we've learned from mistakes in the past and invested in those resources so that you have continuity from conception, proof of concept, to implementation, and furthermore, support. We've really invested in having those resources at a phone call away. Jim, as my analyst, is preferred to be more on the pre-sale side, help us drive business towards our goal as a company. But Jim will attest to, he's going to spend most of his time helping customers get better at what they do. We do invest in our clients' business and helping the workflow process constantly improve and evolve, because what you have today may change tomorrow depending on what type of work or contract that you've won develops into. The adage of a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Funny little piece of that. It was a Chinese gentleman, I think it was in the 6th century BC, it was 1,000 li. Well, lost in translation, it wasn't 1,000 miles that he was talking about. It was only what equated to about 360 miles. So change, progress isn't as bad as you think it is, or as complicated as it is. But the assessment process is your single step. Bring in subject matter experts. Your vendors are there to help you. Yes, we are all in this to sell and make money. You're in it to sell print. But from a vendor standpoint, as we've evolved, it's been evolved into, we're going to win and earn business by helping your business. It's a symbiotic relationship. If you're not successful, we don't survive. So it's a collaboration, and it's a process that's works. Kind of went through some of this on the reduced touch points. These are the things that we're implementing, those touch point reductions. Your solutions today, I guarantee you almost everybody has some form of automation available at their fingertips. The assessment will uncover, are you maximizing what you have? Do you need something added to it to make things run a little smoother, remove that waste and error? That challenge of, we have a 10-day lead time to get work from concept to delivery. Well, we all know that customers will call and ask us, well, yeah, I know I said I need it in 10 days, but I need it in 2. Well, how can we help drive those efficiencies? Increased revenue potential. Just talked to a client today that overlooked an error in a print job. They have to reprint it again. They could have avoided that through some of these solutions. Color management. So we'll talk about some of the processes. We'll segue into some of the solutions that vendors have at their fingertips. Now, again, this is Konica Minolta speaking about what we have to bring to market today. Your other vendors have similar solutions. They're not all cut from the same cloth, but I'm a little partial to the big blue meatball. So I'm going to speak a little bit about what we have in way of automation and advanced color management. We'll talk a little bit about inline finishing, bringing out some of those steps that required manual labor. And you'll kind of get an idea of where the trends are heading and where the manufacturers are investing in improvements going forward. So recently, Konica Minolta launched the C14000. That's a 140-page minute press. I won't bore you with the speeds and feeds and whatnot. It's a press designed to segue into a dry toner device that's going to mimic offset or inkjet. It's a very dull, very flat look, very attractive to what the market is demanding. The days of glossy print are kind of dwindling. People want to see that more matte finish. So we brought it to market. It's a slide. I won't go through this. If you want to learn more, we're always available. High points on it, we're going to be in the 2.5 million impressions a month, 400 GSM at full rated speed. So that's like your 23, 26 point, depending on the material. It's evolving to meet the market needs for those heavier stocks. Again, that's going to fall into the niche of growing into light package printing and direct mail. Inline features. So there are a slew of devices. You have equipment on the market today that's going to be geared towards parent sheets, maximize that sheet size, flood it with impression or ink, toner, and then you're going to have a tremendous amount of manual labor on the backside. So wrapping in solutions and technology and where it's trying to create efficiencies and help work go from concept to delivery with shorter touch points, you're going to see some features that are added. Again, Konica, Xerox, Canon, we all do similar things. There might be some changes, but your vendors do have these available. So Konica Minolta has developed a vacuum feed system that's going to support sheets up to, Jim, is it 28 inches on this?
Yes, 28 or 29 and a half. Let me look real quick while we're on the call here.
Sure. So we're now supporting the capability to print those extra long sheets. So large volume, your 6-panel brochures, you're going to see high capacity feeders coming to market. For those sheets that are 50 inches and above, they're going to be run through a bypass tray as they traditionally have been. So a lot of you are familiar with automated finishing devices, your Duplo products, your slitter, cutter, creasers. Well, again, there's still a manual step in that process. You have an operator that is programming downstream these devices to create these finishing actions. We're now implementing that in line. Again, it's automation, giving a finished product off the press with no more user intervention other than collecting it and dropping it into a shipping container. for lack of a better term. So your Duplo products are no longer nearline. Konica Minolta has brought that inline. Not familiar with competitive products, but you know, that may be something you're going to start seeing in other manufacturers as well. Again, taking labor out of it and bringing in solutions. And it looks like we might have a question that just popped up. Let's see. 35.5 inches is the inline capacity and can duplex on the fly. So again, I don't want to bore you with all the speeds and feeds and capabilities. I just want you to be aware of where technology is advancing, putting this stuff in line, taking the labor component out and delivering a product, a superior product, faster to market. We hit on color management. Sales professionals that are selling print, you know, your clients are coming to you with what are your standards? What can you achieve? Can I trust that your processes in place can deliver repeatable color, accurate color, maintain my brand integrity? Konica Minolta developed an intelligent quality optimizer, inline scanners that are going to manage color inline to G7 standards. As a matter of fact, if you're familiar with ISO 15339, to the extent that we can hold a delta E of 2 or less. Very few presses can do that. But when we're talking about managing color, giving repeatability, taking that skilled labor, you know, the larger shops in here will invest in color experts. And they may take a press down for 4, 5, 6 hours while they're dialing in or profiling or fingerprinting an engine. The industry is going towards automation. This process, start to finish, in a worst case scenario, I believe is 15 to 20 minutes long to deliver G7 validated color. And again, this is just itemizing the entire process. We won't go through all that. This is just kind of showing how it works. Scanners in line, spectrophotometers in line. Again, automated, taking steps out of the process. Taking that user error, that human error out of the process. You know, one of the challenges in digital print today is registration. Jobs getting reprinted because registration may have shifted or changed. The technology is monitoring and managing that real time in the fly. Auto quality adjust, so downtime. Technology is going to minimize downtime. This same technology, think of it as a technician set of eyes on your floor, real time, all day long. At a touch of a button, this will intelligently and accurately determine any type of quality issues, and oftentimes correct it on the fly without user intervention. Again, it's bringing you back to that integrity of quality and image. So when we look at digital as the traditional interpretation of digital print as inferior to offset or inkjet, it's not the case anymore. It's really evolving to high quality, high accuracy, dependable reliability. An example that we worked with a low skill shop that had very demanding clientele. This client accounted for 60% of their annual revenue, and they were in jeopardy of losing the relationship. Implementing some technology to manage this, and we're delivering a color accuracy of 1.8 on a delta scale, Jim?
Yeah, over 60 data points collected. We were at, I think it was 1.6 delta from a target average.
So, and this is something that an organization would have implemented a very high skilled color expert that would have to babysit, manage, and you would experience downtime for managing color. Any offset press, you're going to have 3 or 4 press operators dialing in a press any given time. Again, digital, new technology, it's driving that towards automation and very accurate automation. Reduction in maintenance time, maintaining the press from a high level to keep you up and operational. So the assessment process, driving back to where this began, you don't know what you don't know. And that's our job as vendors to, one, help you guide through the process and what you already have invested in, how to maximize that, how to implement that to better your product and better your services, but also keep you abreast to what you could implement into your workflows to give you that superior product or to eliminate those challenges. And these are some of the things that this auto quality adjust does in line real time.
Tim, I'll just interject that as the analyst out in the field, I'm a huge fan of auto quality adjust because I've just seen it keep a press in really top shape and eliminate service calls. I mean, we say it in our brochures and Tim and the sales team will give you a pitch on it, but I've seen it and it helps operators, got some streak and run package color adjust, let the auto quality adjust do its thing. And at the end of the day, they're back and running in 5 minutes. It's really cool stuff.
Absolutely. And that's the reason why we bring this up is technology changes daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. When your vendors are reaching out to you, offering to help, putting aside time to help your business, it does come from a stance of we do genuinely want to help because that's how we're going to gain trust and grow the business. Again, and it's not Konica Minolta keyhold. All the vendors want to do that. So from a commercial print standpoint, welcome in your vendors, see what's out there, learn about what's new, and you'll be surprised what technology has brought to the market. Now, we talked a little bit about COVID-19, manpower reductions, whatever the case might be. You might have to, as an owner, as a department head, you can still achieve productivity with lower headcount. There's also coupled in with that intelligent quality optimizer is auto inspection technology. A set of eyes. So we have cameras that are watching and monitoring and every sheet that's coming through. Technology is now able to monitor every sheet passing through the press, reference it against a proof, and stop the press in the event that something should happen. Take it a step further. It'll detect an anomaly, attempt to resolve that anomaly. If it cannot resolve the anomaly, it asks for operator intervention. That may be a service call, that may be an operator doing what they've been trained to do to resolve a particular issue. Now, the fun thing with this is anyone that's worked in direct mail, any HIPAA compliance, SOC compliance, where you're dealing with sensitive information, you got to make sure John Smith receives page 1 of 3, 2 of 3, 3 of 3 in their letter. This technology is going to be cameras in line that are going to monitor barcoding, that unique identifier in print to deliver not only from a standpoint of confirming that we received 5,000 records, X amount of pages per record came into the workflow, but was also produced in order, first in, first out, in consecutive order, so that now you have a value add that you can go to your clients that require those compliances, say, look, we have the ability to track from file conception, processing, printing, insertion, you're going to have a breadcrumb trail that we're staying in compliance and protecting your data and keeping you out of HIPAA violations or SOC violations. Jim, if you want to elaborate a little bit more about that auto inspection technology.
Yeah, on the auto inspection, you know, for your average commercial shop, it still can be a huge benefit because nowadays, most shops, you know, an operator is running 2 to 2.5 presses. You know, I go out in several shops and there's one guy running around loading paper on multiple machines, and you know, occasionally there's waste. You know, I just didn't pull a sheet, or you know, forgot to kick out a sample set, and you know, there's a spot or bad paper, and you know, a chunk of paper goes through, and now you've got a void in every page thereafter. This technology will catch it. I mean, when I demonstrate it, I will put a little dot on a piece of paper, 5, 6 sheets down. When it gets to that sheet, it kicks it out, recovers if it's a book or multiple page document or whatever, kicks all those bad pieces out and recovers and just keeps on running. And then you get a report at the end telling you what happened, and it'll actually show you an image and where that spot was on the sheet and how many sheets it took to recover. And it's just great technology for managers and owners to know that they have confidence that they're putting good product out the back door. Yes, you're still going to rely on humans, but this technology supplements the human to be even better at what he or she does.
Thank you. You know, and this is again technology meeting the needs of the industry. It's just a representation of what this looks like. Again, we don't have to go through this. It's very product specific, but the technology is in the market today. And that's basically just a workflow of what we're doing with the data, how we're looping it back in real time. And this is all seamless, split seconds, not even. Real time, in process, being able to be that set of eyes and maintain the integrity of your product. There's an example of what Jim was talking about where a no good image is documented. Missing images, missing pages, incorrect page order. Again, going back to the HIPAA compliance, SOC compliance. I can't tell you how many times I go into a professional shop and I ask them, well, how do you know that you've manufactured, converted, and handed off to insertion a good order? Well, we don't. It's usually while we're in insertion, we may see an address block missing in a window. It's like, wait, what? How much are each of your HIPAA violations? Again, let's prevent that from even becoming an issue. Save that that exposure and make you better at what you do, because now you're implementing tons of downtime, trying to find where that error is and recovering. You know, exclusion areas. So now we're getting into variable data. So this is compliant with variable. We'll block out where the variable data is and be able to maintain document integrity. Now that variable data might be a unique identifier or a indicia. We can tie that into maintaining order. You know, John Smith's record 1000 has pages 1 of 3, and maintain that integrity in the document. Reports, again, reporting, everybody wants reports, especially when we're talking HIPAA and SOC compliance. We want a breadcrumb trail, and we want to make sure that if there is a problem in the process, we can identify it, correct it, and keep production up to its maximum potential. And this kind of just goes into the weeds a little bit about what it does, the thresholds, what we're trying to achieve and help you achieve. So as you see, you know, your vendors have a lot of resources available. The intent is to make and help commercial printers become better at what they do, leverage the tools that they already have, learn about what's available for specific challenges. I want to open this up to any questions, any comments, any insight. We're an open book, so please feel free to jump in with anything you guys might want to learn more about or want clarification on. Crickets.
And you're welcome to chat in questions, of course, if you don't want to be heard. When you're out in the field, Tim, what's probably the biggest question or the most common question you get that's somewhat of a misperception on some of the issues that you've been raising here, that people think it's one way, but it's really another, and that it's easier, more easily implemented than they assume?
I think the number one hesitation to engage a vendor or a new vendor is, what are you selling me? That's probably the first rejection we encounter with our commercial printers. Well, to be honest, when I was in direct sales, I don't know. I want to know about what your challenges, what your strengths are. If you want and everyone's always very skeptical that phone call is, I want to sell you something. Well, of course, we all want to sell print or manufacturing products or technology, but choose vendors, partner with vendors that want to help, that want to investigate, that want to better your business.
Mm-hmm.
Jim, what do you see when you're actually in assessments? What's the misconception or the I misunderstood statement that you see most often?
I don't know if it directly answers your question, but one thing that I see a lot is that people have a lot of untapped potential in their workflow and the solutions that they currently have in place. And, if your vendor's not working with you and understanding exactly what you're doing, where you're going, and what you've done since they put that equipment in place, there's just a lot of workflow things. And people say, well, really, there's no other way to do this. And, I always love pushing that question, because there's always a different way, whether it's a better way or not. That's, to be determined in the assessment process. But I think a lot of people we all get so caught up in a rut in manufacturing of kind of doing it the way that works. And as that's important, we also got to keep looking at all the tools in our toolbox and see if we're using them right. And I see that quite often out there, that people really are getting in the way of helping themselves. And sometimes you just need somebody like me asking a lot of nosy questions and, kind of tilt your head and look at it and say, maybe we need to look at this a different way. Because rarely is there kind of a one way to do anything. There's so many ways to skin a cat that, people just got to take time and really unearth different ways to do what they've been doing for a long time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I think that makes complete sense to me. I know that people get a process and they get kind of stuck in just to keep it going, and it takes on its own inertia. So what you're saying is that you really try to get people just to stop, take a breath, think about maybe there's a different way to do this that ultimately could maybe transform their efficiency in ways they may not even have thought of in the past.
Right. Yeah. Especially in mailing, people NCOA and scrub lists, and there's a lot of processes that the industry's been doing for years. And there's stuff out there now that can automate a lot of that stuff and do it well. We keep saying automation, but, there's ways to automate these processes where, there was a guy sitting in a cube for years going through and merging Excel spreadsheets together and all this other stuff. Yes, it's an investment in technology, but there's so much automation on the mailing side and information integrity that Tim talked about that pretty much everybody needs nowadays, that, that's an area that a lot of times can be really improved just by looking at some new software, not doing it the same way you've pre-sorted for 10 years, because guarantee you there's been a lot of changes in the last 10 years.
Yeah, that cost benefit analysis, I'm sure, is what is constantly being done in a variety of different ways because people, they know that the benefits are there, but is it, is it cost effective to make the leap from where they are now to where they're maybe could be going?
Right. And I'm a huge fan of Konica Minolta's technology on our production equipment, because as a production manager for years, finding skilled operators and bindery workers has become a bigger and bigger challenge. It's something that we've talked about in PIM groups for years, and that's not going away. Our IQ technology, the way that it does both sides adjust for registration, the way that the AIT can work to do some inspecting, it helps really plants deal with the challenges of talent. You still need operators that can read a label and load the right paper and do all the things that they need to do, but you don't need those highly skilled operators like we still need on a 40-inch 6-color press. The digital print now with these large sheets we can do, there's a lot of customers doing 6 panels and some pretty neat small panel pocket folders and other things, because the runs are just shorter. That's the way things go. Our technology just really helps the shop floor continue to run. Maybe not having 10 people running around trying to keep everything running, but 5 or 6 that can do multiple things and still get high quality output. And I think we're a leader in being able to help operators and managers keep their plants running, even with the challenges of talent out there that we all have to deal with.
Right. Tim, we're just about at our hour. So is there any final words that you wanted to share?
I just want to thank everyone for taking the time out of their busy schedules. As COVID-19 winds down and hopefully doesn't make a resurgence in the near future, stay the course. The industry is coming back. We're starting to see that uptick. Protect what you have. Take this downtime to become more efficient. We don't have to cower in fear that the industry is going to fall apart. It's not. It will change. It always changes. But if we have time, get together with us, get together with another vendor, explore the options, see what's new, see how it fits into your workflow. Take that time. I mean, our assessments, depending on what we're focusing on, maybe an hour, maybe 4 hours. If you want to do a full manufacturing lean assessment, we've brought in 3-4 lean experts and, invested days following work through a shop. If you have time, reach out to us. Take a call. We're here to help.
Great. Chris, any final thoughts from you? I will assume not then. And so Jim and Tim, thank you so much for your input. Excellent information. Everyone will be making the recording available to our members. And so thank you so much for your attention today.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.